This is WrestleMania Night 1 Graded. Vince McMahon and the WWE roster welcome us to WrestleMania. We get a beautiful video package. We get cheering crowds, the weekend save your tears, and then a warning of intermittent weather, sending everybody under shelter at Raymond James. For the first time ever, they've had to stop WrestleMania because of the bad weather. And we get 40 minutes or so here of backstage interviews where the wrestlers are just riffing. They've got nothing prepped. There's no planned segments, just off the hip. Some are really good at it. Looking at you, Kevin Owens, you little champion, you. Some struggle. Looking at you, Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman. There was some mixed bag in there, but I like the rawness of it. Eventually, we get back to it, but not before seeing flipping Michael Cole and Samoa Joe in ponchos. I'll leave that for Ross to talk about in WTF moments. It's not fair I talk about it anymore here. We get the show started with Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan welcoming us to WrestleMania. Still feels like we're stalling. After nearly an hour, it is time to start the show. And what a match to start. It is Drew McIntyre challenging Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. Big, beefy boys battering each other in the opening match. Bobby takes the lead in this. Drew keeps trying to mount comebacks. Can't quite get it together though. He's even got a new move to try. He's been doing the Kimura lock on Bobby Lashley in this one, trying to get a tap out of him, but to no avail. At one point we see Bobby hit that big one-arm slam on Drew, and just after a couple of seconds on the mat, Drew kips right back up, like it powers him up, and he's away then. 3 Future Shock DDTs do not put away Bobby Lashley. A Claymore might. He goes for it, and Bobby rolls out of the ring. So Drew goes to meet him. Big somersault dive outside of the ring, wipes him out. In the ring now, and we see Drew sizing up Bobby for a Claymore. MVP shouts something that distracts Drew momentarily, but that distraction is just enough for Bobby to dodge the Claymore and put the Hurt Lock in. And try as he might to get out of it, he tries flipping over the turnbuckle a la Bret Hart to Steve Austin at Survivor Series 96, but to no avail. And to the shock of many, he passes out in the Hurt Lock. Bobby Lashley is still your WWE champion. Took me by surprise. I thought they'd be getting the Drew Pop. Apparently, we're not doing that now. Drew Pop, or as it's better known, Iron Brew. That match, what a way to come back. I'm actually going to give it an A-. I thought this was a great match to get things back. And I know probably emotions are running quite high in this as well. Like, it was something special about seeing that match back in front of crowds. But I thought Bobby and Drew put on a really good show here. I thought the finish was a bit cheap, which kind of lowered the grade a bit for me, brought it back a bit for me. I feel like Drew, for as powerful and as savvy a champion as he's been over 12 months, just somebody outside the ring shouting, "Oi, dickhead," doesn't seem like a suitable way for Bobby to lose the match. So I was a bit disappointed with the finish, but can't fault the process. And I'm actually very intrigued to see where they go now with Bobby still as the champion. Backstage with Titus O'Neil, Hulk Hogan, the NWO, and Bayley. That is what happens if you leave SmackDown Here Comes the Pain on auto general manager for 2 years. You get that kind of assortment at the top. Bayley is just being brilliant here, and we'll see Bayley pop up here and there throughout the night as well. The tag team Turmoil is up next. The winners will face Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the women's tag team titles tomorrow night, night 2 of WrestleMania. And the first 2 teams are Naomi and Lana and Carmella and Billie Kay. Billie brought the fun, and with a rope assist from Carmella, they see off Naomi and Lana as the first team. Out come the Riot Squad next, who are able to out-doubles the makeshift team of Carmella and Billie Kay. They hit this gorgeous combo Codebreaker senton to the Riot Squad. That gets rid of Billie Kay, 1, 2, 3. That pins there. She gets pinned. They're out of the match. Carmella lands a couple of super kicks just for good measure before leaving in a huff. Dandy are out next. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. And bless you, Mandy Rose. Bless you. Somebody was going to take a tumble on that wet ramp. It was you, I'm afraid. Bless you, Mandy. From here, Mandy, after stacking it on the ramp, gets into this one. there's a bit of a disconnect in some of the chemistry here. The finish comes with Dana making a sly tag as Mandy hits a superplex. Dana comes off the top with a swanton bomb for the 3, but doesn't quite get the 3 because as she pins, Liv Morgan rolls her back the other way and gets the 1, 2, 3. That tag team savvy once again. Keeping Riot Squad alive in this one. Final team out is Natalya and Tamina. They out-muscle the Riot Squad. We get a near fall for the Riot Squad off that Codebreaker senton combo, but it's broken up by Natalya to make the save. The finish comes following a heart attack combo move. Natalya thinks about going for the sharpshooter, but then tells Tamina to go up top instead and do a superfly splash, which she does, and it gets them the 3. And Tamina and Natalya will go on to night 2 to face Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the women's tag team titles. This was a C. It was fine. It gave us a surprising yet intriguing result, but you can tell this is a division of just makeshift teams. There wasn't a whole lot of chemistry amongst some of the combos, let alone against some of the opponents. I think what they did wasn't terrible. It was very serviceable, but it does show an underlying problem in the women's tag division. They just need some more meat on the bone in terms of good established teams. Seth Rollins takes on Cesaro next. The first part of this match is all about Cesaro trying to get the swing on Seth Rollins. Rollins tries to fight away from it, but Cesaro keeps going. Seth finds 100 different ways to counter out of the swing before taking control with a Falcon Arrow. Oh, Seth hits a beauty of a corkscrew splash as well for a near fall in this. Cesaro rallies with the neutralizer. Doesn't quite get the 3 on that. We see this lovely combo where we get a flip. Seth Rollins flips into a neutralizer, but then Rollins spins out of that and lands a pedigree, but only gets a 2 off of a Seth Rollins pedigree. Rollins declares because he's avoided the swing by this point, he is a god. He's a god. But he gets a stomp turned into an uppercut, and then he gets the UFO, which is that airplane spin without the hands, and then we get it. It's swing time, baby. And we get 23 swings. His record was 22. He smashed his own personal best. Good on you, Cesaro. I think we were all expecting 100, and that's very much over expectation on our part, that is. And then following that, Cesaro hits the neutralizer. A short while later, gets the 3. Cesaro has pinned Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. This felt like a big moment. Crowd were really into it. And Cesaro genuinely looked emotional about having this win. And you know what? I'm giving this match an A. It was cracking. Great chemistry between these two. And a well-deserved WrestleMania moment for Cesaro. Best match of the night so far. After Kayla Braxton does a random interview with Rudolph, we then get Big E on the ramp. He's united with the New Day once again, and he's introducing them for their tag title match. That was a lovely little bit. It's Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against AJ Styles and the monstrous Omos, who for the first time ever is stepping into a WWE ring. The New Day convince AJ to be the first person in the match. And then they kind of twist it here because you get Kofi and Woods acting very heelish towards AJ Styles, stopping him from tagging Omos. Like they keep him in the corner, constantly talking a load of smack towards him. Eventually we see at one point Styles down and Woods goes up to the top rope. And AJ kind of comes to his senses, sees this as an opportunity, and gets over to his corner and finally tags Omos. And Omos is just indestructible. It's like if Orange Cassidy was made of iron. That's kind of what we're working with Omos. Woods and Kofi throwing themselves into him, and they're just bouncing off him at this point. This all comes to a head with AJ hitting a phenomenal forearm off the shoulders of Omos, and then Omos hitting a tree slam onto Kofi Kingston. At the instructions of AJ, he puts one foot on Kofi for the 1, 2, 3. And AJ Styles and Omos are your new Raw Tag Team Champions. What a treat. That was a B+. I thought this was a very simple but very enjoyable affair. I think what Omos did was simple but effective. I was anxious they'd give him too much to do. I think what he did was well within his wheelhouse. I thought he worked really hard. I thought the New Day were really fun here. This was just a really fun match to have on the card. On a card which is full of a lot of beefy stories, this was a fun match this was a fun match to have at this point in the card. It's a B+. Braun Strowman takes on Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. Before Braun can get into the ring to meet Shane, he's attacked by Elias and Jackson Ryker with chairs. And Shane continues that damage inside the cage, but Braun manages to push back through the pain and he starts giving the hands to Shane. Shane tries to get out of the ring. Braun pulls him down, but as Shane's coming down, he grabs some of like there's like some metal sheets along the top of the cage. He grabs one of them and just starts smacking Braun with this steel thing. He hits a Van Terminator, the old coast to coast, just for bants. He goes back up top. Braun's like, no, you're getting these hands. And then Shane reaches into a white burlap sack that's at the top of the cage randomly at the top of the cage. And in there is a toolbox. And he hits Braun with the toolbox and then starts to climb out of the ring. But Shane makes the mistake of sticking his hand through the cage to taunt Braun Strowman, bye, Braun, and all that. Braun is awake by this point. He grabs Shane McMahon's hand. Shane can't go anywhere, but Braun can't pull him through. So Braun decides to rip a big chunk of the cage off so he can pull Shane McMahon through, like the cage is giving birth to a sweaty man. Through he comes. From here, Braun makes the decision to drag Shane up to the top of the cage, screams in his face, "Who's stupid now?" and then throws him off the cage. Shane does a backflip bump and hits the ground. And then Braun climbs down, hits the running power slam for the 1, 2, 3. We did away with the naughty man. No one will ever be bullied again. Hooray! I've been really harsh on this angle. This is the politest I've ever done. I'm giving this match a C+. Didn't want to see it. I thought Shane got far too much offense in on a beast like Braun Strowman. I thought the cage rip was great. I thought Shane's bump. The problem is Shane takes so many wild bumps. This felt tame in comparison to some of the stuff that he's done, but it was still a good moment. So this is the politest I've ever been to Braun and Shane. I'm giving this a C+. That's all you're getting out of me. Damien Priest and Bad Bunny face The Miz and John Morrison. It's a story of two entrances here. Miz and Morrison come out. Ahead of them comes out 20 or 30 people in bunny costumes hopping around. It looked like a furry convention. And then Miz and Morrison come out sort of lip syncing, hey, hey, hop, hop. And I remember watching that on Monday Night Raw the other week. And I remember smiling, thinking, I've only got one more Raw to grade ever. Raw graded ends on Monday, or Tuesday rather. I can't wait. And then we get Damien Priest's entrance. Pretty cool, does the arrow thing. Bad Bunny on a massive 18-wheeler drives towards Raymond James, and just parks it up near the ring. Massive pop for Bad Bunny. Lots of love for Bad Bunny. Booker T is on commentary for this one as well, which I thought was a really nice touch, since obviously Bad Bunny did the song about Booker T. Makes sense. Bad Bunny in this match is great. He lands some strikes early on Miz that look good. He hits an arm drag that sends Miz out of the ring that looks great. Hits a swinging head scissors. Shade to Kelly. Look brilliant. John Morrison got the tag and eventually started to wear down Bad Bunny. When Bad Bunny was on the defensive, he took that really well as well. One slight bump where Miz tried to throw him out of the ring and he sort of clattered his head against the bottom rope. Hopefully he's all right. Bunny manages to survive in this despite a beating from John Morrison and The Miz. Morrison even taunts Booker T with a spinneroonie at one point. I thought we'd see Booker get out of his chair and get involved. Spoiler, we don't. Sorry about that. Eventually, Bunny lands a tornado DDT out of the corner and tags to Damien Priest, who just goes wild from here, lights everybody up. Bad Bunny, Damien Priest, hits stereo broken arrows. Bunny's just pulling out all the moves. And you think, you've done loads tonight, mate. You should be proud of yourself. Oh, we ain't done. We ain't done, are we, Bad Bunny? No, we are not. Up the top you go with a dive to the outside of the ring. That looks great. Don't do any more. Oh, wait, no. What's this? You're doing a Canadian destroyer on John Morrison. Okay, and everyone stops and looks There's like, what is he doing? The match finish comes with Damien Priest putting Miz on his shoulders and Bad Bunny hitting a crossbody off the top and pinning Miz on the way down. 1, 2, 3. And Damien Priest and Bad Bunny put away Miz and Morrison. Well, I'm giving this an A, right? The best celebrity match I think we've ever seen. The best celebrity performance we have ever seen. I think Bad Bunny was excellent. Now, I'm very aware that you're only as good as some of your parts on some of these occasions. The Miz and John Morrison were perfect. They really helped you could see a few occasions where they were helping him through, but Bad Bunny has got this gift for it. I thought he was excellent. He performed really well, and the general consensus is that people are surprised by how good he was. I'm kind of the impression, right? Now, this is a hot take. Scolding hot take. It's not that hot, really. But, like, I'm not saying that he's like the next... He's not the next Luthez, right? And nor am I saying that you have to like him and what he stands for, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's the next Luthez. I'm not saying any of that. When I say, if you weren't at least impressed by what Bad Bunny did, I just have to assume you're just a difficult arsehole in real life. That's all I can assume. I'm not saying you have to love him and want to see him every week, but you have to be impressed with a guy who has come in and shown that much passion for wrestling and thrown himself into it and was doing... Bad Bunny, the status that Bad Bunny has, he didn't have to do half of that stuff. He didn't have to do a tenth of that stuff. But he did it. And you know what? He did it well. He was in there with good people, but he did it well. I find it really weird to think there's people that go, oh, he was rubbish. I can't. You just have to be a difficult arsehole. That's just my opinion. Excellent work from Bad Bunny. I don't think this will translate into anything full-time for Bad Bunny. I just don't. Because when the world gets back to normal, he's going to want to go back and hit the road. And that's fine. But thank you, Bad Bunny, for all the entertainment during WrestleMania. And this brings us to main event o'clock. Rightfully on last, the SmackDown Women's Championship match. It is Bianca Belair challenging Sasha Banks. This WrestleMania hits different because we've spent the last year just hiding away, nervous, scared, angry, frustrated. A WrestleMania in front of people there's an emotion to it because it's kind of like, I remember when this was the thing that we did all the time. And Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair in the ring, drinking in this dueling chant, drinking in the applause. Both of them look like they're welling up. How could you not feel that? Like, to be one of those two in that moment, like history-making main event at WrestleMania, the first WWE show in front of this many fans in over a year, and you're at the top of the card. It's amazing, and you were in that moment with them, and the moment they grappled, it was business. They didn't get distracted then. It was business, but that beautiful moment then, I loved it. I loved it because we're all human beings, lest we forget. Neither get a purchase early on. Bianca goes for a glam slam, but Sasha's able to maneuver her so she goes flying out of the ring. Sasha follows that up with a dive through the ropes. Bianca catches her, gorilla presses her, and walks her up the steel steps and just drops her into the ring. It's just a brilliant bit. It was just a great bit of power. Banks blocks a standing moonsault and she uses the big long hair of Bianca Belair to avoid it. And this is a theme throughout the match from here, where on many occasions, Sasha Banks will go to pulling on the hair or wrapping the hair around. There's a great bit where she uses the hair as for makeshift ripcord knee strikes, where like she pulls forward with the hair and knees her in the face. That was a really cool bit. From here, Sasha Banks takes the lead. She uses the hair outside the ring at one point. She's sort of pulling like a tug of war between the steel posts, and Belair snaps back, pulls her hair, and Banks goes crashing into the ring post instead. Little bits like that were really, really great. From here, Belair gets another shot in there. She does this delayed vertical suplex where she sort of bounces Sasha off the ropes before deadlifting her a bit further and then dropping her. It was just a great showcase of the power of Sasha Banks throughout all of this. Banks here starts to let her evil side out. She starts working on the arm of Belair and throws her into the steel steps. Then applies the Banks statement using the hair wrapped around her for extra leverage. But Bianca Belair is so strong. She's able to, as Sasha pushes away, she's able to roll back to grab the ropes to break up the pin, like to break up the submission hold. Banks misses a corner drop kick. We then see Belair land a 450 for a 2.999 that you feel in every part of your being. Whereas as Banks kicks out, Belair is just mortified, horrified, has to regain her composure to go again. She goes for the KOD. Banks lands on her feet and pulls the hair. And this is like the last straw for Belair, who's had her hair pulled for the whole match. Rips it out of Sasha's hand. Sasha runs at Bianca Belair. Belair whips her with the hair, and it sounded like a gunshot. It echoed around the stadium. It left a welt on the chest, on the torso of Sasha Banks. Left her open for after a couple of attempts to reverse it. No dice. KOD. 1, 2, 3. EST of WWE, now the SmackDown Women's Champion. After a phenomenal main event, the night ends with Bianca Belair, fireworks going off, holding up the SmackDown Women's Championship. And there's a bit that's leaked online now where you just see outside the ring, out of shot of camera so nobody can see, there's Sasha Banks smiling. Like she can't hide how happy she is that this has all happened. It's just, this is an A+. This is an A+. It's incredible work from both. Away from the emotional side of it, it's a really solid match between two who just have a great chemistry and told a story throughout the match. Told an incredible story that weaved its way through and played into the conclusion as well. But the emotion in it, you just couldn't help but feel and be in there with them. Like you couldn't help it. It was palpable. I loved that this was the main event for so many reasons. And I just love the fact this is the closing moment of WrestleMania, was this match that you could see just meant everything to both, and you still got drawn in. You still suspended your disbelief in moments. I was really happy to see Bianca Belair win. I thought it was an excellent match. A+, easy A+, easy A+. Wonderful way to end it, thank you. And overall, I'm going to give WrestleMania 37 Night 1 an A. I thought that considering all the technical stuff, the meteorological stuff that was going against them, I thought they put on an incredible show. The card was well stacked in the right way. The right people were on at the right time. Couple of matches fell a bit sort of weak for me. The tag team Turmoil, wasn't a massive fan of the cage match, but we went home strong in that main event, and we have set the pace for night 2. Genuinely excited to have another night without sleeping to watch more wrestling. That's what this show has done to me. WrestleMania 37, you're all right. You're all right. Stay safe. Love you. Suppose I've got to go back to the concourse, have I? Jeebus. And your coats are inside out too, Billy. Love you, bye.